Well, I do want to start and just let you know that I'm a skeptic. I'm battling to break the narrative, Jake, that I've been taught for many, many years. Being at medical school, sure, about 25 years ago, just never understood, this medical condition that we got taught being not a medical condition, but properly a refractive condition, as you mentioned on your website, and I have spent a lot of time there. Please. Is it true that you can reverse short-sightedness?
So I really love how you're starting this out because skepticism is my favorite thing. There's a lot of people, and God bless them, that come to us that are much more open-minded than even I am, because I feel very strange being the guy talking about this because I'm a stock trader, I'm an analyst, I do things very much mainstream, and I'm not straying that far from the mainstream. So for me to be this guy is kind of a huge irony. So I appreciate skepticism. I like skepticism. It's a healthy place to come from, especially with internet health related topics, which so often get very fringy and sometimes questionable.
Cool.
So where I like to start with, speaking of skepticism, is scholar.google.com. Are you familiar?
I am.
Yeah, of course. So for those who aren't, that's the clinical studies, basically, search engine of Google, where you're just finding studies and research and peer-reviewed clinical science, not general internet. I find that super useful whenever I run into a topic where I want a little bit of science background. Not to say studies are always the truth, but just I want to look at data. I go to scholar.google.com. That's always my starting point. I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it. And the super short version on myopia is if you type into Google Scholar pseudomyopia, Pseudo myopia, you will get tens of thousands of search results. And those are search results finding quoted peer-reviewed clinical science talking about that myopia, short-sightedness, not being able to see far away, is a muscle spasm. There's a focusing muscle in the eye called the ciliary. The closer you look at something, the tighter that muscle is. And if you look at something very close for hours and hours and hours every single day, eventually that muscle just spasms to some degree. And that's the definition of pseudomyopia. Not a question, right? Like this is discussed to a great extent in clinical science for the last 50 years. And ironically, most of these references are in optometry and ophthalmology journals.